Hello, good evening. I hope you're well. Welcome to the session, February Mental Health Awareness Session. My name is Sarah Mutsami. I'm a counseling psychologist by profession, and I welcome you to this session. I I am looking forward to learning. I have been dreaming about this day. I have been dreaming about this day since last year, October. I have really been looking forward to this day, and now that it is here, I am excited and I really thank God. So, um, we are going to start the session briefly. We're not going to take so much time waiting for others to join. As they join, they'll catch up with us. And then the good thing is that this video is here, or this session is here, this webinar is here, so you can always go back and rewatch, or you can always rewind so that you can catch up with where we are at. Okay, so my guest will be with us shortly. Yeah, so in case you're here, I'd encourage you to share the link. Share the link with as many people as possible. And let's do this. Okay? Yes. I'm sharing with someone who really wanted to be here. So, yeah, so we will go with it. Otherwise, these sessions we do them every third Friday. Every third Friday of the month. But unfortunately, last week on Friday we were unable to do it because of different reasons, and that's why we've done it today. So thankfully, Feb is still covered. So unless such situations occur, that's when we don't do the sessions on the third Friday. But normally it's the third Friday of the month from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. or sometimes to 8:40, from 8 p.m. to 8:40. So we tackle different topics with regards to mental health. We are trying to improve our mental health for us as individuals and also for our communities. So yeah, so let's keep on joining. Let's keep on looking forward to the sessions. In case you want to get updates, because sometimes I try during the month to go back and talk about the things that we have, the things that we discussed in the session. So I would encourage you to follow me, Sarah Mutsami on Instagram, Sarah Mutsami on LinkedIn, Sarah Mutsami on YouTube, Sarah Mutsami on TikTok, and then Sarah Muhadia Mutsami on Facebook. And you're going to get those snippets of the things that we discussed during the session. Mostly that's what I do during the month. I'm trusting God to do better, to post more often. At least once or twice a week. It's not easy, but the lives that we live, the schedules. But I am trusting God that I'll be able to post more often on the pages, because mostly when you go through the pages, it's just invites. But I am looking forward to to have those discussions, mini discussions, during the week or the month. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to having you guys join that as well. So let me go ahead and share this link with people who are having a hard time joining, because I had shared it earlier. I'm not sure if it has changed. So just a minute. Yeah. Yes, my guest is here. Yay! I was just saying how excited I was about this session. So I am glad. So let me add her. Mhm. Okay, 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 okay. Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. I'm having troubles adding you. Let me. Um, Nagea, I'd request if you would check if there's somewhere where it's written add to screen. Add to screen. When you look at your icon at the phone, if there's somewhere that it's written add to screen or add to stage, sorry, add to stage. Yeah, thank you. So otherwise, as she's doing that, maybe I can go ahead and read her bio. I really hope that it's going to. Yay! Hey, finally, she's here. I almost threw my hat out the window. Now I was wondering, oh my God. Welcome so
Yes,
much, Antonia. Welcome. And welcome, Nagia.
yes, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I was wondering the internet is not cooperating today.
Fana. And we've done this before, so
On
we were sure it
Saturday.
would work.
Yes,
Yeah. But welcome, 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 welcome. I was just sharing on how excited I am. I've really been looking forward to this day since I met you. I was just sure after we met and we had a brief conversation, I was sure that we will do this one day. And so I was looking forward to it, and finally here we are. We thank God.
amen.
Yeah.
I'm
So I
looking
just
forward
want,
to the discussion.
yes. It's an honor to have you. I just want to go ahead and read your bio, and then I'll go ahead and share the slides, and you'll start. I believe that's in order, so we don't take a lot of time here. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's okay.
So yeah. So a brief bio about Nagia Daido. She has a very unique name. It's very, very unique, and yeah, I'm glad that we get to meet diverse people in this journey of life. So Miss Nagea Hagodana Daido is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with close to a decade of post-admission experience in government service and regulatory compliance. She works as a principal state counsel at the Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice within the Advocates Compliance Commission. She holds a Master of Laws (LLM) in Environmental and Natural Resources Law from the University of Nairobi and is a certified professional mediator with the Strathmore Dispute Resolution Center. She's a finalist of a diploma in counseling psychology from the Kenya Institute of Professional Counseling, the author of a simplified guidebook on handling depression in the workplace. And she's also the founder of the Mariposa Hub that focuses on personal development and mental wellness. Outside her law practice, Miss Nagia is a gospel music minister and a YouTube content creator. Her music is on her YouTube channel by the name Nagia Daido Melodies, and her other content, which she seeks to encourage people to blossom wherever they are, is on her other channel by the name The Mariposa Hub. She also enjoys outdoor moments with nature and artwork. She urges you to nurture your mind and transform your life. So, without further ado, I want to welcome Nagia Daido Hagodana. Yay!
Yes,
Welcome,
thank you so
welcome.
much.
Yeah.
Asante sana for that bio. I'm glad to join you in your channel, and thank you so much for the good work that you are doing. Yes, I think that's a brief about it as you set up the slides. Mariposa
Yeah.
Hub, maybe I can mention about Mariposa. Mariposa is Spanish, butterfly in Spanish. It seeks to just the journey that a butterfly goes through from the egg, the larva, which is like a caterpillar, which is ugly, then the pupa, which is like in a cocoon, dark, doesn't know what is going on, and sometimes life can throw us in ugly sides, and sometimes it takes us to dark moments, and then after the cocoon it turns into a butterfly. So Mariposa now walks that journey with someone, and we support each other so that we emerge as a beautiful butterfly. Yes, so glad to join you.
Awesome. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes,
Wow.
and yeah, and I've also written a book, the author, simplified guidebook from on handling depression in the workplace. I think there's a copy here. For those who would wish to order after here, we can engage further. The topic
Yeah.
is also covered in the book, so people can
Yeah.
engage the subject further even after here. Yes, we
Okay.
can proceed.
All right. Um, let me. Okay, let me go to the next slide.
Yes, just as a part of the introduction, the presentation will cover general about mental health. Yes, and then the mental health legal framework, because now we are dealing with the Act. I'll highlight about the legal framework that governs mental health in Kenya. And then now they will focus on the Act, the Mental Health Act. Although it has gone, the latest amendment is in 2022. Then we'll cover the rights of people living with mental illness. And then if there'll be any questions, we will address them at the end.
Okay.
Yes, next. Yeah, so by definition, mental health is a state of well-being that enables people to cope with stresses in life and to realize their abilities and to cope and to contribute to community. And it is a key component of health because it's a very integral part of health, because without mental health, there's no health. The mental wellness affects our emotions, our behavior, and even our actions, because it's an interconnected system. Our nervous system, it feeds into our emotions and our body, because if you're not well mentally, maybe you're under stress, you'll feel your body is fatigued. Even your delivery of your assignments is also affected. So it's important that we address the subject on mental health, and we have the World Health Organization that oversees health, and of course, mental health is part of it. And also now uh, at a country level, we have different institutions that oversee the concept of mental health and health in general. Yes. And it is not the absence of mental disorder. Sorry if I may point out, mental health is broader than just disorders, because most people, when they hear when they hear mental health, they think it's the illness part, but
Yeah.
there's more aspect, your well-being, how you cope with stressors, how you build relationships, how
Mm-hmm.
you shape your world, and such kind of things. So all those are encompassed within the subject of mental health. Yes, now
Yeah.
you can proceed the next one. Yes, so on matters of the legal framework, it's mental health is considered as a basic human right. The way health is a human right, then it is encompassed that. And some of the legal instruments that govern mental health in Kenya, we have the first one is the United Nations Convention for Persons with Disabilities. So we first start with the international legal framework, then if there are regional legal instruments that support that, and then the domestic ones. So I've just covered the international ones because under Article 2 within the Constitution, we recognize that international legal instruments can form part of our legal framework. And so Kenya ratified, that is, when it is signed at that international level, different nations, when they sign, when now it comes to at the domestic level, and we receive it, that's like ratification, is like we sign it as part of our system. We did that one in 2008. So the provisions of the United Nations Conventions for Persons with Disabilities, that also includes issues of mental health, we become we have obligations at the international scene through that convention. And then now within the other domestic instruments, legal instruments, we have the Constitution of Kenya, which is normally the supreme law of the land. It is the one which
Mm-hmm.
now is the mother of all laws. Like it provides for different sectors, and then now the specific acts of parliament now give effect to the provision of the Constitution. So the Constitution provides for issues of health, and so it's a major aspect that provides for mental health. And then now we have the Mental Health Act, now with the amendment of 2022. And then we also have the National Guidelines on Workplace Mental Wellness, that is on 2023. Last year, the theme of the World Mental Health Organization, the World Health Organization, was incorporating as in mental health in the workplace. How do we promote proper mental health in the workplace? So these guidelines came in handy because Kenya had already started taking steps towards workplaces that observe issues of mental wellness. Then we have the Health Act 2017, because now that one addresses the entire health sector. It also establishes the health authority, which now Kenya Health Professionals Authority, which when someone is not handled well by a professional, a person with mental health, which we'll mention later, they can report to this act, to this organization, and which is provided under the Mental Health Act. And the act also provides for the highest attainable standards of health. So on that front, the act applies on matters of mental health. Then we have the policy, the Kenya Mental Health Policy 2015 to 2030. That one now sets the goals. From the policy, that's when acts of parliament are formulated. And then now regulations come to give in the details of the smaller bits of each aspect. So the policy now also projects how mental health are going to be streamlined and to be included in the system and the different institutions, so that then it is mainstreamed in the different sectors. Then we have the Medical Practitioners and Dentist Act. Now, because we have the rest of the act that I've highlighted is the different professionals that are involved in mental health. So for the medical practitioners, we have the doctors, that is psychiatrists, that provide how they are qualified there and how they operate, and so they are covered under that area. Then we have the Counselors and Psychologists Act. Now, like Sarah is a psychologist,
Yeah.
yeah, so she falls under that act in how
Mm.
she treats patients and other people who are affected, both directly and indirectly. So the counselors, the licensing of the counselors, the psychologists, the education qualifications, and all that. So it's covered there. Then we
Mm.
have the Clinical Officers Training, Registration and Licensing Act. So for some of the facilities that offer mental health services, clinical officers are the ones who are in charge with the psychiatric or mental health background, so specialization. So this act now will cover those clinical officers who are managing those institutions. Then we
Mm.
have the Nurses Act. So when persons with mental illness are affected and they go to the hospital, the doctor will
Mm.
prescribe the medication. The counselor and psychologist will offer the therapy. But then when we have nurses who take care, especially when someone goes to inpatient. So we have nurses, psychiatric nurses who take care of them. So the Nurses Act now comes in to cover the professionalism of the nurses who offer the services to persons with mental illness. Yes, thank you. We can go to the next slide. So I'll highlight a bit of the sections of the Constitution because it's the foundational legal instrument for within the law and the legal system. Most of the time, what is normally covered is Article 27, 28, and 43. 43 and a bit of 54. But I added some others which might apply for issues of mental health. So we have Article 26, which is right to life. Recently, we had the court how decriminalize uh, the issue of suicide. Previously, attempted suicide was criminalized, and so issues of the right to life, the article encourages that people have the right to life. So even a person who is affected with mental health, experiencing suicidal ideations, means that they, through the right to life, then they can push themselves. They have the legal support to seek to live. They have the legal support to seek to live and not to end their life. And that decision was simply saying that someone who is experiencing suicidal thoughts or has attempted suicide, the best option is not to send them to prison, but to send them for medical assistance. Because at that stage, then they are going to be assisted better than to criminalize and penalize them through our correctional services, through our prisons. Someone might get worse, and maybe they have not really obtained the medical assistance. Then there's the Article 27, equality and freedom from discrimination. Yeah, so people with mental health issues experience discrimination. There's still a lot of stigma around mental health. Not many people are receptive about the subject. They consider someone like a lesser version of them, and so through this article, uh, there's someone is empowered that you are equal like other people, and you shouldn't experience discrimination on matters of health status and the disability. When now you're declared, or you go to the National Council for Persons with Disability and you're certified with a disability. Yes. And then the other article is freedom and security of the person, human dignity. The Constitution provides for human dignity, for people to be treated with dignity. And we have seen even before this act was amended, the persons with mental illness were treated in a very inhumane way. They would maybe be secluded, be like chained, and not given an opportunity to live life. And so this article requires that people are treated with dignity. Human dignity is enhanced. Then there's freedom and security of the person. That issues of being to walk around, to interact, to engage, to experience peace like any other person and security like any other person. Then slavery, servitude, and forced labor. We have people who mishandle persons with mental illness. They are treated like slaves. Others are harassed. Some are raped. For maybe women, others are subjected into, like now, the servitude, like animals, treated like animals. So this article now allows for protection for people experiencing mental health illnesses. Then the issues of privacy, when you're maybe joining the workforce, if you're not okay, and also it's connected with the other one, the labor practices. The information that you want to share out, it should be treated with confidentiality that it deserves, and not just to be dished out around without consent of the person who is involved. Then labor practices, now if it's employment, not to be discriminated against, to be given an opportunity like any other person to work and have a livelihood. Yes, and then Article 43, that's economic and social rights, and health falls under the social rights. And so health is the highest attainable standard of health, because mental health is part of the rest of health. Then if you're offering high standards of health and accessible and affordable, then the mental health should also be covered under that. Then we also have Article 54 on persons with disability. So they are also covered, they are protected. When maybe someone, the condition maybe has been so serious, and through the evaluation of a certified medical practitioner, someone is certified to be given to be declared, or to be, I'm missing the word, like you're given the issue of disability of mental health, because there are different forms of disability, but disability is not inability. Then you're protected, because the Constitution provides for protection of persons with disabilities. Yes, thank you. Can go to the next one. Yeah, so now we go to the Mental Health Act, because the focus of today's webinar was the Mental Health Act. So it has gone through different journeys, the different evolvement. So the first one that we had was the Mental Treatment Act. So it was the former, the 90s, like way back. So it was repealed. Then now the one which was existent was assented. That is, it was signed into law in November 1989 and commenced in 1991. So that's over like 30 years ago. So then it went through different revisions because now, actually now with the new constitution 2010, it went through a revision around 2012. But then some sections were still not very properly, was not effectively covering issues of rights, humanity, humane, even the wording, because some of the wording was reinforcing the stigma and the negative tone from the act. So if the law itself is negative and reinforcing discrimination and the stigma, then the people who execute the provisions of the law will even escalate it. So there was need through lobbying and different civil organizations, civil societies. Then it went through another amendment, which was the 22 one, which now seeks to enhance the act. So which we'll be able to discuss as we go on. Yes, thank you. So the key things, which I'm calling salient features, that the act, now the amendment did, it introduced different things that were not there in the main act, the Mental Health Act of 1989. So there was the title, which changed a bit to focus on care and treatment, which was not there in the previous one. Then it introduced the purpose of the act, now like with specifics. It also introduced guiding principles, which we didn't have in the previous act. Then it also provided for obligations of the national government and county government. So because now we entered a new dispensation of devolution, and the county governments are involved in the offering of services of health. So the act now provided for national government obligations and county governments. It also provided for county mental health councils. Before we didn't have that. There was district mental health, but now we have the county. Then also the county executive normally advises the county governments, like the governor, on the mental health status within the counties, the provisions, how the actions that are being taken. So all that now is provided under the act. Then it now provides, the current act provides for rights of persons with mental illness. Previously, we didn't have rights. But it was just, you are secluded, you're put somewhere, you just forgotten, like you're just thrown somewhere. There was nothing in treatment. There was nothing humane about the treatment of persons with mental illness. So this for me, it's one of the largest milestones that this act, this amendment, gave to persons with mental illness. So we'll be able to highlight those rights in the other part of the presentation. And then we have Mental Health Board, the Kenya Mental Health Board. So it was there in the act, but then it enhanced it. The issues of membership, the qualifications for the people to be in the board. It also provides for vacancies in the board. If the grounds for removal of a board member, maybe if they have a criminal background, or they are incapacitated by, maybe they have an illness that makes them not be able to deliver on their function, or an aggravated criminal offense, so such kind. Then it also provides for delegation of the authority to a board member to act. So the board can delegate some of the assignments for them to be undertaken. Then it also provides for the functions of the board. Yes, then the other aspect that the Act also introduced is the establishment, the amendment introduced is the establishment of the Office of the Director of Mental Health in the public service. So this one is like the administrator or the CEO, the main director of the board. So some of the affairs will be in the public service, but it will be liaising issues of the board. And if there are requests to be made, he's the liaison person, and their qualifications and how they operate is also provided under that part. Then we have the district mental health councils were removed. Then also to follow that, they established the mental health units. These ones, the mental health hospitals under the previous act, that is the Mental Treatment Act, it was removed. The issue of mental hospital, like even they are making the hospital to be mental, like it's not a hospital like any other. So that one, the wording there was removed. But then maybe like the referral hospitals, like say Kenyatta, Mathare, they can have a wing or a section, what they are calling a unit on mental health. We even have like other hospitals, MP Shah and others. They offer other services, but they have a unit to offer mental health services. So that's what we are calling mental health units. Then we have mental health facilities, where now someone in the private sector can apply. It can either be within government or private to offer purely mental health services, like the Chiromo Group Hospital, which specializes on mental health, among the largest private hospital in the country that offers mental health services. They have different branches in Nairobi, Mombasa, and other places. So the lead, the in charge needs to have mental health background. So it provides for qualification, how to apply, how to be licensed. So that is provided for. Yes, the next one. It also provides for penalties for those who have fraudulent registration. If some people now want to take corners in the registration, then there is a penalty for the people. You are fined you're either fined money wise or imprisoned, or both, depending on how the judge will find. Then there are monthly reports from these facilities. You are supposed to report how the intake of people, the different details that the facility is doing. So you file it with the board, the mental health board, and then also if that is at the county level, you submit also to the county executive committee. So for those who wish to be opening facilities, that's a requirement to be filing those monthly reports. Then seclusion and restraint, the issues of, I was saying, chaining people, putting them away with no reason, harassing them. So that one has been removed. It's a violation if someone is treated in that manner without proper management. It's wrong for someone to just be secluded without observation, and maybe for prolonged periods. Some people, even you take someone over 6 months, that the act says you shouldn't keep someone all that long without proper reasoning. Then there's informed consent. For someone to be treated and to be taken through the whole process, they need to be given information. They understand themselves or their guardian. There's what they call supporter or representative on how the process is being taken. So someone needs to give informed consent. Before I sign whatever you're subjecting me to, I need to give an informed consent. Then there's provision for voluntary admission of a patient. If someone now just takes themselves, I'm not feeling well, maybe I'm stressed, I have burnout or something, I'm just feeling things are not working, I'm walking in the streets, life is just happening, you can just go to a hospital and request to just be seen. And if it's a serious case, it's okay, and the doctor recommends admission, that's the voluntary admission. Then there's involuntary, where now maybe someone is not in the state to determine for them to go in to be admitted. So the act makes that provision, but then it should be the representative of the person, the guardian. If it's a minor, like that's a child, can request for that involuntary admission. And if that is the case where maybe there's harm involved, the person might harm themselves if they and to others if they are not admitted, or if they overstay, then they are going to deteriorate in their health. So those could be some of the cases that someone can be involuntarily admitted. There's also emergency admission, where now it's on a critical note. Someone can be admitted through the emergency services Then there's also issues of KDF, the Kenya Defense Forces. They have the act now provides for their own, because maybe the things that our forces go through is a lot. The wars they witness, maybe the bombing, the what. I think the other day we had the news from Haiti. We don't know even what the things they have experienced over there. So if maybe the team there comes and they want to get psychosocial support, now this provision allows them to get that support, so that then they're able to discharge their functions more effectively. Yes, and then there's issues of review discharge. You can review your status. Maybe if you are someone, maybe at first you had depression, and then you are improving as you take the medication. Now you're even taking lesser doses, and even you can be put off medication. So it allows that the doctor reviews you, and if you have improved and you can be discharged or transferred, they are able to give that recommendation. And even your status of maybe previously you were on depression, now you're no longer, the symptoms have subsided. So that one allows for the medical practitioner to do that, to review your mental health status, or if it's needed by law somewhere, the certified practitioner can do that. And then the other one is issues of care, treatment abroad. If someone needs to be treated abroad, it needs to be through the board to give that recommendation, the paperwork, so that then through the licensed practitioner, medical practitioner, so that then you can be processed to get further treatment. Also, there are issues of foreigners. If they need to be treated here within the country, the in charge of our institution needs to get approval from the board before they admit someone from the outside the country, a foreigner, in a facility, lest now it becomes a diplomatic situation. Yes, and then the issues of property of persons with mental illness, that one is to be assisted with someone either appointed by the court, a manager, or now the supporter or guardian. Then you can refuse admission if you're in charge of a facility. Maybe your institution is full to capacity, you don't have sufficient, maybe if it's an inpatient, the beds are fully packed, so it's okay for an in charge of a facility to refuse admission because of those given reasons that are beyond the control of that particular institution. Then there are insurances that can be issued. Then there are complaints. If someone has been treated wrongly by a professional, you can go to lodge a complaint with the Professional Oversight Authority, health professionals. And then there are some offenses at the end, like aiding the escape of a person with mental illness, falsifying documents, the recommendation letters, and such kind, which they are penalized in law. Yes, thank you. The next one. I'm seeing our time is running. Yes, so I think I've highlighted a number of it. So the next part I'll just rush through. Now this one was like just giving the arrangement of the section. So it has a part 1, which I had mentioned. It's the preliminary with the title, which has changed. I said it now says prevention of, it's the purpose is to provide for the prevention of mental illness, to provide for the care, treatment, and rehabilitation of persons of mental illness, and the procedure of administration, treatment, and general management, which was different from the previous one. So then there are 3 main people that are mentioned in the Act. We have the guardian. The guardian is mostly when we are dealing with children. So the person can be the parent of the person, or you have parental responsibility of the person, or you're in custody of the minor, or you're offering support. Then there's the representative, whom it's like a next of kin of the person. So this person can assist in decision making, but it's just maybe a relative. So they can be either the spouse of person when you're unwilling or you're unable to make some of those decisions. They can be the child, an adult child, or it can be a relative, and or a person who is taking care of them. So this one can be a representative. When decisions are needed, this representative can come in. Then we have a supporter. Now, supporter now they actually have an agreement, a written agreement where maybe it has legal obligations. The person affected now appoints the supporter, and they have an agreement, sign it, and the person needs to establish that when they were signing that agreement, they knew themselves it was not under duress, they were not being forced or coerced, for it to be a valid support decision making agreement. So this person, they assist when there are major decisions that need to be made. For instance, the involuntary admission in the hospital. So the supporter needs to act in good faith. Like they know, in case of an emergency, in case of eventuality, this is how this person would wish that things are run. So they have things written down. So that's how the supporter, now those three people. So the act, you'll see a lot of reference to those three main people. So I thought I should mention it. Then there's the persons with mental illness. It removed persons suffering with mental disorder. Yes, so right now we have persons with mental illness, including substance abuse, like drugs. It's covered under that area. Yes, so issues of drugs and support around that, it can be an addiction like any other, and someone needs assistance to overcome. Yes. Next. Yes, so now then we have the guiding principles. We have highest attainable standards of health, which I mentioned, freedom and dignity of every human being, and fair and equitable treatment of persons with mental illness. Then we have freedom from discrimination. Then we have accountability of duty bearers. The people who now, those supporters, guardians, representatives, they need to be accountable. And then transparency as they implement the requirements, or the managers when dealing on administrators of the property of persons with mental illness. They need to be accountable. Then we have public participation when we have policies and regulations relating to this area. And then when we're having interventions, we need to have objective information and methods and transparency in the management of these facilities. And so those are the guiding principles. Then the rest of the parts, which now they just incorporate what I explained earlier. Now this is just a breakdown on how they are covered. So part 1A, we have the obligations of the national government and the county governments. The national government emphasizes on the provision of the resources for mental health care and the treatment. We have issues of community-based programs, an outpatient comprehensive medical cover. Yes, like this SHA. Well, it's supposed now, if we are to follow this, if you are to follow this provision, it's supposed to have to cover mental health services. But then even the normal health is already a problem. So now mental health will even be a bigger problem. But then the national government under this provision is supposed to offer, when it's offering the cover, it's and insurance and such, it needs to consider issues of mental health. So that's just a summary. Then sensitization and research and other improvements in the system. Then at county level, now we have issues of mental health care. Now the details of the care and the treatment, rehabilitation, community-based. Right now they are encouraging community-based care and treatment, and then implementing the strategies and policies that are coming from the national government. Then we also have the county mental health council and the county executive committees that co-work to ensure that the counties are offering effective service. Then part 2 is the rights with mental illness, which we'll highlight. Part 3 is the board, which we discussed. Then we have part 4, the management of the facility and the units, the admission, treatment of the persons with mental illness. The next one. Yes, then now part 5 now give the details of the voluntary patients. The one I mentioned where you can go in yourself. Then involuntary, when someone is maybe they are going to cause harm to themselves or to others, and they have the decision of the supporter or the representative, then they can be admitted as involuntary patients. Then emergency admission, maybe if they're not taken in at that moment, then things will escalate. That can be an emergency admission. Then discharge of members of the KDF, I mentioned, patients of foreign countries, review. So that's how they are organized. The general provisions, the offenses, the one I mentioned about the falsifying documents, helping someone to escape from a facility, aiding someone to escape. Those are some of the offenses that are covered. And then now at the end is now how the board is supposed to conduct its affairs. Yes, so let's maybe cover a bit of the rights. Then now we'll finalize. So the overall rights are provided for under part 2 of the Act, which is basically section 3. So the overall rights is fully participate in the affairs of the community in any position suitable and based on the person's interest and capabilities. So because someone maybe has been diagnosed with a condition, it does not make them to be omitted for them to participate. So they can participate. Depending on their interest and capacity and capabilities, they can participate. Then they have the right to access medical and social legal services for the enhancement of their protection of the rights of the person. So they shouldn't be violated, like denied access in social and legal services. Yeah, some people say, oh, because he has a mental health condition, then they deny them access to a social forums or even legal services. No, they are allowed to receive that, so that also now the protection of their rights. Then protection from physical and mental abuse of any form and discrimination, and to be free from exploitation. Yes, I've mentioned about the different exploitations, especially children. Children are forgotten, they are put there. Some of them are even not taken to school or given a chance at life. So protection from physical and mental abuse and discrimination and exploitation. Then they have the right to take part in activities that promote the person's social, physical, and mental and emotional well-being. Then to receive reasonable care, assistance, and protection from the family and the state. So both the family and the state are supposed to offer reasonable care and assistance and protection to them. So those are the overall rights. So the specific rights now that proceed from that part of the human rights section, we have the rights to mental health services. Now that's the highest attainable standards of health. Someone is supposed to get that, which is affordable and accessible. Then there's the right to consent to treatment. So, and not just to dump things on someone and they don't know what is going on, simply because someone is going through an episode, then you stop treating them as a human being, as an adult or someone who knows, like a human being. So they need to consent, and it is informed consent. You explain to them, or if they have been brought in by the supporter or the guardian or the representative, you explain to them in a language that they can understand, then the person also understands, so that they are giving informed consent. Then there's the right to access medical insurance. Yeah, there's a SHIF-SHA, there's also private. I had given an example that there was once, there's a time I was experiencing depression now when I was writing my book here. And so now later when I had done a good part of recovery, so I needed, I was exploring private medical insurance. No, it was another cover, not even medical, a different, this is an investment. And so now you have to go for checkup before now they put you on the cover. So the questions they were asking, it was too much and too incriminating. So I don't know if this act had come into place, this amendment. I think, I don't know, I think it had not come into place. But at that stage, I just cut. I told the person who was lobbying for me, the advisor, that I can't take up the insurance. I can't proceed with filling those forms. So with this section now, even now, private insurances, they need to be considerate on how they treat those details they seek there. Yes, I know they're assessing risk and all that, but it needs to be in a humane way while you're assessing and accessing the medical insurance. Then there's protection of persons with mental illness. So the issues of harassment, punishment, seclusion, restraint, they are covered there. They need to be protected. And if it's children, they need to, the guardian or the parents, the caregiver needs to offer them protection. Then there's rights to civil, political, and economic rights. So you're not, they can vote like any other person in their moments when they are okay, because it's not always that someone is not sober, if I may use that word. They have more, where there is, it's maybe a few times maybe they get triggered, but for a good part of their lives they're okay. So they can engage in civil, political, and economic rights, lead, generate an income, and live a normal life and a productive life for that matter, not just for this thing, not surviving, thriving despite the challenge. Yes. And then we have access to information. If you need your medical records, because some of the people take your records and refuse to give you details, so you have the right to access the information. And then apart from that, we have the right to confidentiality. Your information that you give, maybe your employer, the HR now, they shouldn't now taking all over the place and using it to incriminate you. So it needs to be kept confidential, unless you give consent or there's something that is needed. So you give consent on the operation. Even the Data Protection Act, for personal information, it needs to be guarded. Institutions need to protect it. Yes, and then there's the right to appoint a supporter. I think the one I mentioned, where you have a support decision-making agreement. You appoint the supporter and then you have the agreement on the parameters on how they're going to support you. And then the person needs to act in good faith and in good interest to the person that they are supporting. And then we have the right to legal capacity. That is a major addition and major right, because for persons with mental illness, when we are studying law, even from undergraduate, we are normally told that the legal capacity is defined like, as in, if the law recognizes you as a person, it's affected by age, like a child, they need to be represented. And then, or now issue of if you have mental incapacitation, like you're not well. So persons with mental illness, through the act, they have been given a right before the law. They can be heard before the law. Previously, it becomes a barrier simply because you have a mental health condition. Then, like, the law raises a bar by itself. You can't progress further without that. So I think it's even one of the research I did for my research in undergraduate, the issues of legal capacity. So this is a great milestone that the law recognizes you as a person before it, even when you have a person with a mental illness. And so you can be heard either through yourself when during your when you can understand what is happening in the court. They call them in law, they call it them lucid moments. Or maybe if you need either the supporter or the guardian or the representative to represent you, or maybe your legal representative. So this is a plus for persons with mental wellness. Yes, and I think that brings me to the end of our presentation. I think Mariposa is still growing also. So if you need to engage me, you can reach me for more talks like these ones, and programs, outreach programs, and others. Or if you need the book and other programs, whichever, you're most welcome. And I thank you, Sarah, for the opportunity to do this.
You're
Asante, over to you.
welcome. Thank you. Where can we get the book?
Oh, the book, you can either order directly from that number.
Okay.
It's also available now. The number you get to me, then we coordinate on delivery.
All
It
right.
goes for 1,500. And also, it's available online on nuria.com. And also, it's available at Elevate Bookshop at Kenya Cinema at the Meza floor. So if someone is in town, you can pass by Kenya Cinema in Nairobi and you get a copy. If you're out of town, you can order online via nuria.com. Yes, asante.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nagia. That was such an insightful, presentation, and we really appreciate. I have a few things that I wanted you to discuss further, but just before I go to that, I just want to say thank you so much for, also coming to grace our webinar. We really appreciate that, and we are looking forward to have you again to come and discuss about mental health in the workplace exclusively.
Yes,
I
yes,
am really looking forward to that, and I told you I'm very passionate about that, so I can't wait.
yes.
Yes. So just two things that I wanted you to just expound kidogo. You talked
Mm-hmm.
about community-based care.
Mm-hmm.
Community-based care. And
Yes,
I think that's
yes.
very profound that I'd love our viewers to understand kidogo about it. What did you mean when you're talking about community-based care? Yeah.
So I think that's the additional provision within the
Yeah.
Act,
Yeah.
that previously it was just an individual who is handling it, and they recognize the place of family and community where someone has grown up with, the support system that the person has grown up with, together with the, like now, and we have the community health promoters that they are through the villages, that at the county level, then we have the villages, they have the community programs, the ones who can, the promoters can assist. So the mental health services now are to be part of it, as people do the checkup through the volunteers, the community volunteers, and even the community within where a person is growing up in or is living, then they can be supported, because when you have people who know you and they genuinely care, then it boosts the recovery of the person. Well, it can be immediate family members or even others. They can be friends who become family.
Okay.
So the Act recognizes that you can, when you get that support, those support systems need to be strengthened so that persons with mental illness grow or live within those environments, then it will boost their recovery faster than when you're
All right.
just alone or you're secluded in the formal facilities, the medical facilities, that maybe you're
Yeah.
just taken away from the people you know. Then now
Mhm.
you start even straining from the loneliness of being away from the people you care about. and so it even weighs you down further. So there's that coordination of family, people you know about, to take care of you, to enhance that area. Yes, yes.
Yeah. That's amazing. You know, the reason why I say that, it's because even in treatment, I normally emphasize on the important or the impact that our support systems play in someone who is having any
Mm,
mental health issues. It's very important for you
mm,
to have a strong support system. And so when you find that that fact is neglected, then there is going to be a problem. The recovery of this person is going to be a very major challenge. And then there's something else you said about reasonable care.
mm.
Talk about that kidogo, because
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really, it's a what, it's an issue, because now reasonableness might be different. I
mm,
think, well, it's something that also the courts, they are saying the courts is developing, uh they call it jurisprudence. They are developing discussions around it of what is reasonable,
yes,
because what might be reasonable to me might not
might not
be reasonable to another
to
person.
another.
So
Mhm.
I think it's more of uh the basic care that an
Mm,
institution can offer.
yeah,
Um, like if I go to a facility, I expect that maybe how I'm admit, how maybe the intake that the practitioner will do to me. If I need inpatient services, there's a bed. If there's food services, like the good basic food that is available, if it's for inpatient. If it's outpatient, uh, at least maybe there's a waiting area that
right.
can help the person maybe as they wait. So that's reasonable care, because maybe some facilities will have a larger capacity to offer it than others.
Mm,
Some counties will be better placed to offer than others, but
mm.
at least your minimum equate offered. But then, of course, it's developing through the courts as people now try to define it. What does reasonable really amount to? But it's
Oh,
more
okay.
of your basic equate offered
Yes,
in a
yes.
facility. Yes.
The
Mm.
basic. You know, even as you
Mm.
narrow it down to us, maybe in our family setups or whatever, I could be a support system to someone who is, you know, who is going through a mental health challenge. Like you've given us the three people. It could be a relative, it could be someone, and then you find that this
Mm.
person, they, because they have this mental health condition, and it's something that I've noticed even in my practice, there's some form of care that they want
Mm.
to receive. You know, for instance, you said the
Yeah.
basic would mean I make sure that this person has 3 meals a day. But this person would want,
Mm.
because I have a mental health condition, they want some special meals in between the day, or even if it's the three
Yeah.
meals you're offering, I cannot take ugali and greens. I would want some beef alongside it because I am not okay. So also that reasonable
Mm.
care can be, you know, it's important, but it needs to be
Mm.
defined so
Mm.
that it's not also
Yeah.
abused, and it doesn't end up causing more harm than good. And many other things
Then
that we
good.
can highlight. For instance, you said about informed consent, and you find, like, for us
Mm.
Kenyans, we were brought up, you just walk into an office and they give you documents and they tell you sign up chini, and you just sign and you don't know what you're signing into, and you've not been
Mhm.
explained
Mhm.
to what that document entails. And in case you try
Mhm.
to ask questions, you find that some people, they take
Mm.
offense. They're like, you're asking me too much
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
You see there's a line outside
Mhm.
there, so you just do what you need to do
Yes.
and go your way. So informed consent is also important. We could go on, but allow me just to say
Yes.
thank you so much once again. Thank you for the Mariposa Hub for coming to grace our webinar today. And in case we have any more questions, I am sure that we'll be able to share them in the comment section. And I know that you're willing to just go in there and contribute and respond, as well as the
Mm.
slides. I believe that I can share the slides with anyone who's interested, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Mm.
So thank you so much. I look forward to doing more of this. And thank you so much to
Yes.
everyone who joined us. Let me just peep and see what comment section come up. People left their names. No, they didn't. But I know Antonia was here or he is here. I know John. I see Joy and any other person. I know my parents also. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for stopping by. And I hope that you have gotten to learn something. And kindly share this link to as many people as possible. Just share. Let us get as much information as we can as far as mental health is concerned. And now, especially that we know about the Act, what is in the Act, and especially if you're a practitioner in the mental health field, I mean, it's very important for us to know what is in the Act, and then also for us as individuals to know the rights that we have in case I have
Mm.
a mental health issue. What are my rights? And not just even as a normal citizen, what are my rights as far as mental health is concerned? So me, I'm going to watch this thing again and ingie vizuri so that as I'm walking out there, I'm walking in
Agree.
confidence. Yes. So thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Bye
You
for
too.
now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Sawa sawa, bye.